Welcome to the Zen Supermom podcast. The episode today is going to be different because you're not just going to see my crazy talking shaved head, not me only talking about my own childhood, my experiences, and the experiences and progress of our clients inside the Zen Supermom program. Not today. I invited special guest who is going to tell you herself. It is one of our past clients who just finished the program, and she was the inspiration for me when we had her final session together, and she she could not stop talking about how amazing results she got and how passionate she is about telling everybody and anybody who would listen about, please, you need to do this work too. So that one inspired me to invite her. Have the courage to go public and talk about what was the struggle, how did she start as a yelling, raging mom, and what became for her just 4 months later. So if you're curious to hear from a real mom, her results, if you want to be inspired, if there is part of you who is hopeful and yet skeptical at the same time and needs to get some proof and inspiration, well, then this is the episode for you. Let's go. Let's go meet her. Hi, Supermom or Superdad. Alena here, your mommy tantrum specialist and the founder of the Zen Supermom system. And me and my team have helped hundreds of moms and dads start setting healthy boundaries with calm. And this is the first parenting podcast that is not about your kids, that shows you why none of the parenting techniques helped you stop yelling at your kids, and how to control your emotions from jumping out so that you can be the safe, loving parent you wish you had growing up. This is the Zen Supermom podcast. Dear Supermoms and Superdads, I actually started recording and we will go straight into this episode because it is special. Most likely on one side of the screen, you can see like a blurred up image with a covered up name and you're thinking, what the heck is going on? This doesn't look like a normal Zen Supermom podcast episode. And this is the reason why. Today, we are doing first, thank you so much for being so courageous to be the first one. We are doing first Zen Supermom interview with one of our clients. I already had to fold even her name so that I don't mention her name. So if you hear any beep, it's because I forgot when I said her name. My promise was to protect her identity and keep her anonymous because what she's about to share is her story. And you can imagine, if you have been listening to this podcast a little bit, you can imagine how it feels. Chances are that you are yelling, stressed out, super loving, but super nervous, anxious, overwhelmed, burned out, supermom or superdad. The last thing you want is everybody to know about it. So I really applaud you for your courage, for being here and agreeing to be the first one out of many. We will have many more to come of these interviews with moms who have come out on the other side of it. Because this is one of the things that I hear so often in my free mommy tantrum trainings, like, what? 3 months? Are you crazy? Like, this is too good to be true. I don't believe you. Like, are those testimonials real? So here you have a real person. And I'm not going to say hi name. I'm just going to say hi. I will have to hold myself back. Thank you so much.
Hi.
I'm curious, what made you want to agree with this podcast episode even? What gave you the courage to speak up?
I think just because I feel really connected to you and to the program, and I feel really passionate about what it is you're trying to do. I part trained as a counsellor to help people, so helping is kind of in my nature. I haven't finished my training, but we won't go into why. But I feel really passionately about that, and I think what you're doing is really, really important. The work that you're doing is really important. And I just love to help you to help more people.
Yeah, and thank you so much for that. That actually is what gave me the idea to do this podcast episode. So just so that everybody knows, I always meet our potential clients at the beginning. So after the mommy tantrum training, I invite them for assessment call. So that's the first time I see them one-on-one. And then I see them one-on-one when they are leaving the program, doing kind of the checkup assessment, like, hey, did you get what you needed? What are your next steps? How is it going? And so we just had this one, what, 2 days ago?
Yep, 2 days ago.
And this was the last thing. And I was sitting on that final call and I was thinking, oh my goodness, what a pity I'm not recording this and then asking your permission to share that with everybody, because it was full of incredible, mind-blowing wins. And then to top it off, cherry on the cake, your last thing that you said was, and I'm so passionate about letting everybody know, because I feel like all of my friends, they should know, they should be doing this work. So I'm telling them about this program. And I was like, oh my goodness, this gives me the idea. And so we booked this podcast recording 2 days after, because you said yes on that call, like, yes, let's do it. And then exactly as we were chatting just before I started the recording, you started getting nervous, like, oh my goodness, and what if my parents hear it? And what if other people hear it? And what are they going to think about? So that's why we are jumping straight in, fearless, courageous. And I appreciate you so much for doing that. So
You're welcome.
not going to say your name. I was almost said it again. Good. So let's dive in, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
I would love for you to share with everyone. Let's start there. Mom of how many children? How old? What's your family situation? Let's start there.
Yeah. So I have 2 children. They are 9 and 3, and husband and a dog. So yeah, quite a big age gap between them, but it works. And yeah, we're kind of settled into family life with 2 kids. I work part-time. Yeah.
Yeah. And the reason why you decided to register once upon a time for that mommy tantrum training was?
So I was just lost, to be honest. I didn't know where to turn or who could help me. I would go to bed at night just thinking in my head, like trying to put it out to the universe, somebody help me, please. I'm really struggling here. I'd had, oh gosh, 10, 15 maybe years of therapy, talking therapy with various therapists. I'd even, as I've mentioned, I'd even done my own training to be a therapist. And obviously you do a lot of work during that time. And I found that talking to people helps, but the problems weren't going away. Nothing was actually getting any better.
Yeah.
I was aware now of what was going on, of what was wrong, very aware of it. But just nothing was really helping me to feel any better. So I felt like I was struggling with this. At the time I called it postnatal rage, but it kind of just carried on. It wasn't just postnatal, it was, years later I had this kind of rage inside of me. Not a physical rage, just a shouting rage. Somebody or something would wind me up and I would just get so angry that I would shout at, the kids, the husband, the dog, whoever was there, just to try and get it out of me. But it just wouldn't go. It was always there. And I just thought, this isn't right, and we all, my kids and me, my husband, our whole family deserves better than this. So somebody please help me.
And the calling was heard and you got this ad somewhere and
Yeah.
you joined the training. And so what is it that inspired you to even reach out to me then and have your assessment call with me one-on-one? Because you have already done a lot of work. Were you aware where your rage was coming from? Did you understand that from all those years of therapy?
Not really, no. I didn't really have any answers. So I went to my GP numerous times. They put me on medication for depression and anxiety, which, it made things better in the fact that I was numb, but I knew that numb wasn't the answer. I'm not supposed to be numb. I'm supposed to be feeling these feelings. There's a reason why they're there. So I just thought there's got to be an answer to this. And I still, even with therapy, I couldn't find what the answer was. And then I watched your your mommy training thing on the ad on Facebook. And I was like, there were just so, I can't remember now, it was 4 months ago, but there were so many key moments in what you were saying that just struck a chord with me. And I was like, yes, this lady understands. This lady gets what's going on here. And I think she has the answers. And there was just something in my gut that said, you need to do this. And I'm not normally an impulsive person, but there was just something in your video that made me say, I have to do this. And I dived straight in. I think you probably remember, I think you said at the time I was one of the fastest people to sign up to the program, because it just, something struck a chord. And I thought, yes, this is it. This is what I need.
Yeah. The thing is that during that free mommy tantrum training, what I'm always usually what most people get their biggest aha moment is that realizing that being yelled at as a kid, not feeling loved unconditionally, that there were always conditions, like you need to be a good girl, you need to behave, you cannot say no, you have to manage your emotions, you always have to listen the first time you're asked, like very long list of conditions for our parents to love us. That's a generational developmental trauma. And
Mm-hmm.
many people get like, yeah, their first aha moment is like, what trauma? I had a happy childhood. What are you talking about, right? If there was no other like shocking events and really abuse going on, right? So to the level of you are comfortable sharing with everyone, but what did you identify that was there were the reasons in your childhood that led to that rage?
So I think I normally in the past have been a very overly positive person, and I would never ever have described myself as somebody who had experienced trauma as a child. Despite all the therapy, my head would not say, wouldn't play the victim, wouldn't say, I had a terrible childhood and therefore this is why I'm where I'm at now. So I think that was one of the biggest things for me, was actually hearing the word trauma, associating it with what happened to me as a child, and connecting the two and thinking, actually, that isn't such a bad thing to admit. It's okay for me to say I had a traumatic childhood. And that was a huge shift for me. Even with all the training, all the counselling I'd had previously, I'd never really got to that point where I admitted to myself that perhaps my childhood was not as perfect as I thought it was.
And not
Um,
blaming our parents, right? We are not here to like throw dirt and throw our parents under the bus. But what it usually does for most of the people is realizing, well, actually, now that you know what it is, this is how to heal it. And it's like there
yes,
is a way out. It's not your curse. It's not how our family is. And so therefore how I need to be with my kids for the rest of my life, right?
yes, yes.
Yeah.
And I think also you can go too far the other way and you can think, I didn't like the fact that my parents did X, Y, and Z, so I'm going to do it completely the opposite way. So it's trying to find that balance, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So what is it? How did you feel? Did you have any fears or doubts like before doing the work?
Um, Not that I can recall, but I think through doing so many years of therapy, I'd kind of got used to the idea of
Mm.
talking about things. I think my biggest fear was whether or not I'd be able to do it. I'd got so used to talking about things with a therapist or with friends. A lot of people would say to me, you're so calm about it, and you're not emotional about it. But I think I'd kind of disconnected from what I was saying. So my fear was that this was actually going to make that connection between what I was saying and what I was feeling. And I wasn't sure how I was going to cope with that.
Yeah, and that's a very common fear that now that the floodgates would be open, you don't know what's coming. And it's like, that's why many people rather sweep it under the carpet. Like, I don't want to look at it. I know there's some dark things in my past, but like, let me look in the other direction, because if I open that up, if whatever comes up, am I going to be able to handle it, or am I going to have like a nervous breakdown and end up in a hospital, right? So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I always actually said to my best friend that it was like there was this box inside of me, and no amount of therapy was allowing me to actually open that box. I was getting close to it every time, but I just couldn't open it, and I didn't know what was in it, and that was what was frightening me, was what is in this box.
Ooh, amazing. So, did you open that box?
I did.
And what happened?
So I think I actually opened the box on the first session, which I was really surprised about, and that hooked me. Then from there, I thought this is gonna work. Um, and I remember sobbing uncontrollably in my first session, which again is totally unlike me. That's not something that I do. And I was okay with it, surprisingly. I thought afterwards that, part of me was saying, God, should I be embarrassed about that? And then I thought, no, this is it. This is what I've been trying to get to for all this time. And to have it happen on the first session, I was like, wow, this is going to go somewhere.
Yep. And kudos to our coach, Sylvia, who had your sessions with you, because this is exactly what we are doing. This is not a coincidence. You are not the exception. This is exactly what's happening in every first session.
Mm-hmm.
So well done for having the courage to go there and the awareness to realize actually there's nothing wrong with it. This is exactly a sign of release.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also a testament to the level of trust that Sylvia was able to build with you even after one session or during
Yeah,
that one session. Because this is
absolutely.
also a thing that I hear very often from new moms who are coming into my space saying like, okay, I'm used to your crazy, like watching your crazy face and getting your direct, like kicking the butt. But I have no idea who is inside your team. Who am I going to do those one-on-one sessions with you? Can I have them with you? And I'm telling them like, no, sorry, because like I need to make sure I don't burn out. I cannot be doing everything for everybody. So that's why I have built and trained and mentored a team who is capable of getting exactly the same kind of results. So thank you so much for sharing with us how your first session went, because that's also something I hear very often, like, what? Getting more done in first session than in 10 years of therapy? Like, yeah, you see,
Mm.
I was not lying. She's the proof. And again, I almost said your name. I'm not saying your name. Excellent. Very good. Now, one-on-ones are not the only thing that's happening in the program. So tell me, what else did you find that was very useful for your healing?
So we started off with the PQ assessment, the emotional intelligence assessment, and wow, that was really something.
Can I say your score? I had
You
it
can,
written.
yeah.
So it's a scale from 0 to 100. It's impossible to get 0, and it's impossible to get 100, by the way. But your score was 15. It was low, let's be honest. Not the lowest one in history. I think the lowest mom I had was 4 or 6, but it was down there.
Yeah,
Can we skip all the way till the end? What you shared with me? What is your score now?
65.
Goodness! So amazing. And more important than the numbers, how does it feel? Because even without the test, I bet you can feel that difference.
Absolutely. Yeah, I almost didn't need to do the test because I knew immediately that things are just so much better. And, friends, family, they're all noticing. And some even that don't know what I've been doing, they've mentioned it to me and they're like, something's different here. You're calmer and you're so much more relaxed. And the atmosphere in your house is different. And like, what's going on? What's changed?
Yeah.
So yeah, people are noticing without me even saying what I've been doing. And I feel it. I really feel it. It feels so much better, so much calmer, so much more relaxed. We still have moments, obviously. I still get a bit shouty every now and then, but instead of it taking days to calm down, it's 5-10 minutes and we're back to being calm and relaxed. And it happens much less as well.
And your kids understand it's not about them.
They do.
You're not giving them your generational trauma anymore. They are not feeling less worthy of it or any like this. Yeah.
No.
Back to because I hijacked now, like celebrating your amazing PQ score jump. But the mental fitness piece, the positive intelligence, that is the second key pillar of the
Mm-hmm.
program. So, and what we do there is healing those trauma coping mechanisms that resulted from the childhood. So, would you share what were your top saboteurs, aka trauma coping mechanisms? Who was the biggest one?
Well,
You
it's
had a
funny
gang.
because they were all pretty high. I think out of the 9 saboteurs, 7 of mine were a 10, which is the top score.
I
They're
didn't
like,
even, oh my goodness, I didn't check that. You had 7 out of 9, where at 10, which is like 10 is the max, huh?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah. So I mean, in the beginning, when I got that score, I felt completely overwhelmed. I didn't know where to start. And I remember having a conversation with you and saying, I don't know what to do here. Because, the advice is to sort of pick one or two
yeah.
and work
And you
on
were
those.
like, ah, I
I was
even
like,
forgot about this thing.
I just thought, I don't know where to start. What do I do with this?
So
But,
what did you do? Yeah.
so yeah, with your help and Sylvia's help, you both said, pick one, pick the one that feels the most problematic and deal with that. And, other ones will come in and out in between that. And that's what I did. And slowly they got better. And, I started to concentrate on each one in turn. And after a little while, they all just kind of not merged together because they are separate, but I could see that in each scenario that was playing out, there was more than one in play, but I could recognize what the different ones were each time. So then I could really sort of start to interrupt what they were saying to me and recognize that they were lies and find the truth. And then I calmed down.
Amazing. If you were listening right now, wondering, like, okay, I'm curious what my numbers and assessment would be, that you can do that. They're all free. Those are free links, free assessments. So let's do them and let me know what your numbers are if you're curious. Oh my goodness. So amazing. So now I was looking here even at my dates. So our first assessment call we had was 20th of December last year. And
Mm-hmm.
we are talking today is 24th of April. So 4 months later.
Yeah.
Celebrate all your wins. Did you expect to feel the way you feel 4 months later?
Not at all. It was the best Christmas present I could ever have bought myself. No, I was kind of 50-50, part skeptical, part optimistic, really hoping that this would work, but unsure in the beginning. And yeah, just to see where I am today, that progress in 4 months is just phenomenal. I never could have imagined that my life would have changed as much as it has in 4 months.
Kudos to you. Kudos to you. We can be there. We do the same thing for every client, but then it's completely within your control how far you take it. And you took it away beyond even your expectations. So congratulations on that. What is the result that you're the most proud of?
Um, I think my relationship with my kids, that was why I did it in the first place. I didn't want to be that shouty mum, that was always having a go at them you know, and I would always put things in the way of connecting with them. My house always needed to be tidy, or there was always jobs to be done and work to be done, other things that needed doing. And I would always put that above connecting with them. And that doesn't happen anymore. I've realized now what I was doing. I've realized which saboteurs were in play, and I've managed to quieten them enough to, jobs still get done. Don't get me wrong. My house isn't a mess, but I spend more time connecting with my children now.
Mm. How do you feel about the relationship with yourself? I'm curious.
I feel like for the first time, I'm actually more aware now of what's actually happening within me, um, and more gracious about things that I'm good at. I was never ever able to celebrate my successes before, or to say, "Hey, I did good at that. I actually did something, and this is good." I could never do that, never. But now, with your help, I'm finding wins. Even if they're small ones, it doesn't matter how big they are. I'm finding them and celebrating them.
Amazing. And how is that helping in your life, not just in the relationship with your kids?
I feel much more confident, and my relationship with my husband is better. Um, yeah, just I think just having this calmness. I was so anxious before all the time. So to feel this sense of calm now is amazing. My sleep's better, everything's better.
So amazing. Congratulations. I have last question, I think. What would you share with moms who are at the beginning of their journey, who maybe just found this podcast, found the mommy tantrum training, and they are feeling like you were feeling at the beginning, like some little bit hopeful, but a lot skeptical because they have already done so much. And is it going to help? Can I do it? What would you tell them?
I think it's, if you're feeling really overwhelmed and you don't know where to turn, maybe you've tried lots of different things, nothing works. You get to a point where you think, I'm not sure anything's ever going to help me. Perhaps I'm unhelpable. But I think my advice would be dive in and give this a try, because honestly, you won't regret it. It will change your life. And, you do have to jump in with both feet. You will need to be vulnerable, and that's okay. And you might be scared to start with, but, the coaches are amazing. They will help you through it. And you can be where I am now after just a few months.
Congratulations! And even more so for your courage to share here with everyone, not
Thank you.
even knowing who is going to ever watch or listen. So that is just the final cherry on top of that cake of your courage and a testament to how much you have healed and grown. So much so that you're even willing to be vulnerable. That shows your strength, actually. Being comfortable, being vulnerable, that shows how strong you are and how much work you have done to come to this point where you're okay sharing about all of the not perfect stuff in your life in order to help others. So I truly, truly appreciate you and your big heart so much. Once more, I congratulate you on all of those fantastic results that would have not been possible without your determination and you being such a caring mom, like your kids being at the forefront of your goals and your intentions, and you were willing to do whatever it took so that you would be a better mom for them. So they're really lucky to have you.
Thank you. And
And
thank
we
you
are
for
lucky to
having
have
this
you
program.
here. Yeah, my pleasure. Do keep me posted about how you're doing, because now that you're done, you will go fly, fly, butterfly on your own because you have everything. You have all the tools to keep going by yourself. So do keep me posted. Don't stay a stranger. And dear moms, I think I can speak for you as well. Thank you so much for them as well, because I bet there's somebody who needed to hear that today and they will feel deeply touched by your story. So thank you on their behalf too.
You're very welcome.
Thank you so much. Bye, super moms. I'm going to see you in the next podcast episode.